Hello, hello, and welcome to Paint Minis Live. I'm your host, Bill T. I hope I have everything the way it should be because I've been working hard to make sure that it is. After the other night where we had some guests on and things kind of went haywire, I'm still trying to work out the kinks. I I don't claim to be a videographer or an audiophile. I do create my own music from time to time, and nothing you'll really hear here on the stream. But maybe once in a while you might hear some stuff that I make that's on the stream. But anywho, the whole point being that the whole technological side of trying to paint things and bring it to the world in a live format can be kind of difficult at times. So I appreciate the people who came back after the fact the other night when I kind of had my failed stream going on. Um, with the audio when I was having D&Disability on. Again, a huge shout out to D&Disability, Uncle Brad, Tonka Todd. They all kind of roll under the same umbrella, I think, these days. But again, thank you very much for coming in and being a part of Paint Minis Live. I really do appreciate it. Uh, and I had a wonderful time talking to them and kind of getting to know them too. Well, I mean, I have a long tie with the Indisability. Like, he's the channel is really cool. It started off with just one guy, got onto two, got onto three. Like, I mean, they're a friend group kind of thing. If you haven't met them before, they're very fun though. They're super into the historical aspect of like tabletop gaming and such. It's a lot of fun. They have a lot of fun over there on their channel where they will educate you on so many things. It's really a fun show to listen to when I happen to discover it in my feed. What's going on, Charles? Good to see you back again. Thanks for coming back. Evening indeed. I've been trying to stay warm. We had some snow dump on us over the last 24 hours. It's been really cold. um, I thought about doing a stream last night, but just with the snow coming in, it got really, really cold down here. We live in a house that's like built in the 50s, I believe, and it's just not very warm in the basement. We do have like a wood burning fireplace upstairs, and so it's much more comfortable to be up there because we can get some firewood and like have that be a thing. So um, I it's just tough, you know. It's Friday night too, but in any case, the tonight what I'd like to do is kind of expand further about like upon the things that D and Disability and the friends that we had over the other night, what they kind of told us and the things that I learned from them. The muted colors. And this is one thing that I'm learning more and more as I paint. And part of Paint Minis Live is that you get to see my mistakes, you get to see the things that I do right, you get to see the things that I do wrong. It is not a clipped together, very edited show to the point where you're seeing just the best of the best. Because what I want you to see is that no matter where you are in your painting journey, like, people make mistakes, things don't turn out right, things, you have to change your ideas on the fly to work with stuff. But another thing that I have kind of come to realize as a painter is that I don't always have to conform to uh, very stringent ideas. I can go ahead and move around in ways that I find interesting and comfortable. And from the talk we had with D and Disability, I thought about like muted color palettes. So instead of just going like for the, um, you know, going for the highest contrast I can, from black to a bright yellow or to super white, like, you know, could I make something that's a bit more muted that would look very fitting in a medieval fantasy setting. And like I learned a lot about historical medieval uh like clothing, armor, and the things that were involved with that from the talk that I had with them. But is it wrong? Really wrong? Um no, it's not wrong. Nothing's ever wrong. Like screw wrong. Nothing's ever right anyways. like um that's my whole idea on that. Nothing's ever right anyways. Nothing's ever wrong anyways. It's just a whole wash of gray area. So, what do you do? Um I started off last time and I started using like a golden brown. I started using brown instead of yellow because there is definitely a place in fantasy where you're using very high contrast colors and you're using things that are very catching to the eye. But what I thought about too, I think part of this is that I get to the tabletop only every once and so often. But what are we really doing at the tabletop? And we're playing these role playing games, or we're doing like uh we're doing skirmish games and such. So what we're doing is we're focusing in on specific characters. Like my biggest memories with like skirmish games and such are on the battles, like the one-on-one duels between the characters. At the tabletop with role-playing games or like Dungeons and Dragons and such, you're playing as the character. It should be the most important part of the game. So shouldn't those colors be like the most outstanding to your eye? Why is it that I'm trying to create an entire army of dudes that look like the main character when the main characters should kind of be taking the cake? And it just got my mind thinking about that. And I could go through and blast through all of these dudes, and I could be, they could be on their way up to Canada by now. But there is a sort of joy too in learning and creating something that is truly unique, spawned from many minds, and presenting it in a way that to the players that are going to play them, which is ultimately his kids, and then the people around him. Uh, I personally don't have a gaming group, so this is really cathartic to me, and it's very I play sometimes like backseat or whatever with listening to the videos that Dungeon Minister puts out on his game. So I do enjoy that aspect of it, and kind of like the things that I paint that end up there, they are going to people who are playing them and experiencing these things fresh for the first time. It's super cool. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Shadow Guard be muted colors. I'm going to have the Morgan's men at arms that I've started doing. I'm going to have them be very high contrast because they're so small. They're like a very, I think, what was it that I told him? Give me a second here. I'm gonna go look at the Discord. It's like 10% of the force. It's very small. That I'm going to be sending him, that are going to be part of this new faction that he's brewing up. Let me see here. Yeah, we toss a lot of messages back and forth too, which is kind of fun. I try not to pester him too much, but I do get a good amount of info from him on what's going on with his stuff. Let me see here. Yeah, it's about 8 minis that are actually of this like ally faction, and then the rest of them are the Shadow Guard themselves. So like 18 minis are Shadow Guard, and the rest are these, other like allies that they've got. So with that being said, we're gonna start painting here. I think today I'm just gonna focus on armor on the couple of minis that I have. I'm not gonna really change too much, but I'm just gonna start painting up, and we'll see what happens here. But yeah, what's going on, Charles? I hope you're having a good weekend. I'm wondering, what you've been up to. Have you been having a good one? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of folks watching the Super Bowl tomorrow, too. My coworker, I believe, has a bet on the Seahawks winning. If I remember right. I'm not really a sports guy, but I believe that's who's playing is the Seahawks. Okay. Just trying to get my other camera up and running here. Very nice. And we'll bring that into view here. Okay. So for these guys, I think we're going to have, I did talk to D&Disability a little bit more about armor types and, what kind of materials and so on and so forth. It just didn't seem like there was a ton that was different from what I had already kind of envisioned to what they were kind of talking about. I think it would be kind of fun to throw in some other colors on these minis. I haven't decided where yet. Mainly because I have to make sure that my painting scheme is sustainable across a group of, that many models. How many days? 18, which is a larger number, but it's not terrible. We're gonna do a bunch of silver for these guys. I think, the Horde of the Damned, they were all brass, bronze, very brown. We're gonna make these guys heroic silver. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but I think it'll work out well. We'll do that. The capes, I think, are gonna stay maybe a grayish color. We're gonna make them maybe a bit lighter gray instead of just black or like a dark gray. I'm gonna make them a lighter gray, I think. I'm gonna make them stand out. Oh man, that's oof. I mean, that's a long life though. Yeah, I hear that one there, Charles. That's tough. I had a black lab growing up that had a very long life too. It's really tough at the end, and having that kind of be my own dog, so to speak, my first dog as I was a kid growing up. That was my, this is your dog, it's your responsibility kind of thing. Yeah, that was it. It never gets easy. Never gets easy. We pour so much of ourselves into our pets. They are part of our lives and part of our, they're our loved ones, so to speak, too. So I'm sorry that you're going through that. That's really tough. And I'm sure you'll deal with it in your own way. And I hope that you find some good closure soon, because that's kind of what it takes, is some closure on that front. Tonight we'll be using the Infinity, I think. I'm gonna just use the Infinity. It seems like a good brush to use. It's high detail. We're gonna plow through some silver. Shouldn't be too tough. Doing a little basing, I guess, on these guys. Oh, you got some army painter paints, though. I mean, that's something fun. These are actually the first army painter paints I have are these quick shades. And I have to admit that I'm starting to really like them. And I really want to try some of the other paints in the line, but I'm not like a full army painter convert yet. They do some things really, really well, and other things not as great. At least that's been my experience, and I'm judging that off of some of the really old army painter paints from way, way back in the day. Like when I first started painting 10 plus years ago. So, things may have changed, but I'm curious to hear what you got. That sounds like fun, though. I would really like to hear what your opinion is on that when you have a chance to give them a shot. What's going on, D&Disability? I was just talking about D&Disability like a minute ago. Headed to bed. Okay. All right. Well, say you sleep well, good sir. Thanks again for being on the other night and for dealing with the technical difficulties. I gotta get with Uncle Brad too and let him know a big thank you for being here too. But yeah, thank you to D&Disability and crew, Tonka Todd, Uncle Brad, and Mr. Thane himself for being a part of PML the other night. I had a great time. But yeah, sleep well there, D&Disability. We'll see you soon. Got some silver here in the color cup. We're going to do like a dark silver base tone for these guys. Christmas is here in February. It kind of feels that way, to be honest. At least here in Minnesota, we got ourselves a good amount of snow over the weekend here. It has left the studio very, very cold. I have donned my PML sweatshirt, which hopefully in the future I will have much more of that I can put on the web store. I'm wanting to. It's just they're very cost prohibitive. They're kind of expensive to make. I would love to make more of them, though. Alright, we're gonna just throw on some nice dark silver on these helmets. I'm not gonna put them all over. I'm using the airbrush for expediency here, really. That's all I'm doing. I'm not really trying to make the airbrush do all of the things. I just wanted to do some of the things. It's a basing layer. I just want to make sure I don't hit the parts that I've already painted, which is kind of the thing I'm looking to do. The greaves, the shin guards, those kind of things, they're all going to be silver. New paint station, 50 bottles. Holy man. Oh, why are you talking about me? I gotta know. I think he already left, but yeah, I was just talking about him. Talking about what he does and all the good stuff. If you're watching in the replay, Than, I wanted to say thank you for being a part of PML the other night. I really appreciated it. It was a good time. Just going to hit the shoulders and the arms and all kinds of just usual junk. You would probably paint silver on these guys. I mean, it's not going to be a super huge color scheme with these guys, but I think it's worth it to probably go ahead and make a concerted effort in the areas that I can. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, he is here. It's funny, you can never really tell. It's like the actual viewer count, the viewer count thing is always lagging behind. But yes, thank you very much, Thayan, for being here, and thank your crew too, Uncle Brat and Tonka Todd. I will make sure to send them some messages as well. 2 sets of paint: Wilderness Adventures and Wandering Monsters. A new self-healing cutting mat, very nice. Okay, so you're really you're starting to set up a true paint station, which, believe me, it makes working a heck of a lot easier. I can tell you that much. Painting minis can be a little bit daunting. I can 100% understand, but having a designated space to do your work is huge, at least to me. And I put mine together. I was lucky. Not a lot of people got the opportunity on things that I did. I will 100% admit that. I had a person who was his job was part of a manufacturing facility, and with his job, I ended up they were upgrading their manufacturing site with new workstations, and so I ended up with like industrial lighting and like tabletops and like workstations. I've got 2 of them down here. And I was hoping to host a show with 2 painters, but I ended up having somebody back out at, and that kind of stinks. But so I had quite a nice little. I have a nice space going on down here. Just a matter of, I don't have a second person to stream with. Otherwise, I would have a full setup to do. Two painters down here. Yeah, 2 areas. Okay, well, take care there, D&Disability. Thanks again. Much appreciated. It's kind of funny the streaming thing. You're always with a little bit of a delay, whether you're the host or whatever. So yeah, I ended up with 2 painting stations down here in the Creation Cave. These guys, I'm thinking, are kind of going to be my... well, this guy actually didn't get anything going on back here. Let me... Okay, there we go. These guys are going to be my 2 master models. When I'm making batches of models, say 8, 16, anything larger than like 4, I will usually make a master model. And that is just so that I can have a reference. If I ever forget my painting notes or, anything that's the shade of the model or like how it looks. I can always try and replicate it going backwards from the master model on from where I am now with the current model. So it's one of those things where it just will help you stay consistent, especially when you're doing squads of like, I don't know, Space Marines or whatever. It's a carryover from 40,000 is what it is, because that's kind of where I started off as a painter. I started off there. However, with D&D, you've got a bit more, like, you're a bit looser. You can do a lot of things. You don't have to make them all the same. Sometimes it's even better if you don't. So now that we've got some silver on our master models, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight them with like a pure silver. This was dark silver from Citadel. I'm going to go ahead and just throw that up there here. Let's see. Yeah. So there you go. Dark silver as the base, and then light silver. So 030 if you're looking for dark silver, and then let's see here. Yeah, silver is going to be 025. If you want to find those online, you can get them from pml.com. Otherwise, you can get them from Monument Hobbies. Either or, doesn't matter. But yeah. If you're looking to support the show, you can do the linky thing. All right. Shameless plug aside. My back game table I'll sometimes use for brush priming and gluing on bases. There you go. That's one thing I need to work on a little bit more is like basing stuff. I'm not huge on the thematic bases. I'd rather have like a clear acrylic base because to me, I've built terrain tables in the past. Nothing that I've put like a video or like done video on, but I have done terrain tables in the past. Ones that were very, I would like to say they were well done. I did flocking on them. I painted them. I even put molds. I had molds of like rocks and stuff from. I don't remember the company, but I had like rock molds that I did in plaster, and I used plaster on the stuff. It was crazy. I spent like about 150 hours on this table, and I loved it. I loved it. Honestly, me and Miss PML bonded over it. It was one of our like third dates. Was her helping me try to finish this terrain table that I had, and we were sitting there putting the grass on. It was super cool. But the basing side of things, I've never really liked doing that because I've always wanted to have the at least for like a skirmish gamer. If you're gonna play on like a snow based terrain table and you've got like snow all over the board. Wouldn't you want to like see the snow under the mini and like appreciate the mini's paint job over, seeing the midsummer basing on the mini, but it's actually on a snow world or whatever? It was one of those things for me. But that being said, it don't matter. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to want to like work on that as a painter going forward, especially if it's something that I want to bring into the world as a thing that people could hire me for if they wanted to. So we've got ourselves a nice amount of silver here. That'll be a healthy amount for what we want to do. We're just going to put a little bit of water in that, to be honest. Go grab the chat again. What are you hoping to paint there, Charles? Anything in particular? Are you doing D&D minis or skirmish games, 40K kind of thing? Okay, here we go. I'm going to start doing some highlights on these guys. My camera likes to not really help me too much in this scenario, but that's all right. With the chainmail, I tend to like. Oh, it's a little bit out of focus here, but it's very hard to film things when they're like very tiny. Okay, let's see. Okay, so yeah, with like chainmail, I tend to just swipe over the top. If you were doing dry brushing with this, you could kind of get away with the same technique. But I tend to prefer just dark, very dark silver on the bottom, and then just regular silver over the top. And it makes a very nice effect. I don't think it's, too much of a time commitment on that front. Get these shoulder pads, a little bit of a rounded edge on the top, a little bit of dark in the middle. Just a little bit of silver on the inside. The chest plate here, I'm going to follow the same line above the top. Same line on the bottom. We're going to make ourselves... This is kind of a cartoon trick, but it looks kind of nice on the tabletop. It's almost like a Wi-Fi pattern. I wish I could show this off. Yeah, there you go. You kind of get that. Kind of like a Wi-Fi pattern over the top if you were to see like a cell phone signal. My brush was not as wet as it should have been at the end, but if you kind of make these outer ring marks on the armor, it'll look like a reflection from a distance. It doesn't have to be crazy, but yeah, I mean, it'll look nice at a distance, but it'll look a little bit more like a reflection, I think. going to try and leave behind a little bit of that dark silver anywhere I can, just to keep the contrast. Put some silver at the tip, edge highlight on the weapon where we can. Some of it will be a little chunky. It's all right. Just the tip of our brush here. .28 mil. Okay. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, that's true. Hey, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day there tomorrow, Dungeon Minister. We're working away on these guys. I've got some good ideas in mind. I talked about them a little bit earlier in the stream. I think these guys are going to be a little bit more muted in their color palette, but it's been really fun toying around with the ideas and some of the things that have been going on around here. But yeah, I hope you have a fine day tomorrow. Charles says, the last video I showed that I was putting primer on 17 figures to use with various silver bayonets. I've got 7 figures that I'm going to use with a Mayfair game on Sanctuary, Thieves World. Okay, very nice. 28 mil. In the queue, 28 mil Rel Partha and 20 Zulu figures. Very fun. Well, that should be a very fun paint up. Zulu would be crazy for me. That would be kind of nuts. I don't know what I would do for Zulu paint up. I'm going to work on the greaves here. It's very dry. I know it's the winter time. It's very dry, though. I think we've been running the dehumidifier down here since we've had the plumbing issues. It's so dry. I mean, the working time on this is insane. Like, I feel like I'm trying to rush just to get the paint wet. I guess that is the downside or upside, depending on how you choose to view it, of painting in the wintertime. It's kind of nuts. I'm not huge about it. I do like to have some working time with my paint. But man, do I feel like I am really having to put the gas on with these guys. So this guy is done. Let's get some close-ups. A little beauty shot before we move on here. When I get to the Zulus, I'm going to have to watch the movie of Rex Drift again so I can get some ideas of colors and stuff. For sure. Hey, Google is an absolute wonderful reference for getting ideas as far as it goes for, what you want to do with your own thing. Again, this is very, very zoomed in, but you can kind of see how I'm making essentially just very thin marks on places. The edge highlighting portion of this, and trying to show off the armor the best I can. Again, they're very small. This is this is very small work. This is the edge of a dental pick, and how small this is. That line is about the same width as a dental pick that you would use at the dentist office. So trying to make detail at this scale can be very difficult. And if you're finding trouble doing that, it's okay. It just takes some practice. That's all. So we're getting there though. We're definitely getting there. Rourke's Drift. To be honest, I haven't seen... I think this is a film you're referencing. I have not seen Rourke's Drift, to be honest. But I was part of African Drum Corps when I was in middle school, and that was like a lot of fun. We learned from folks who played with African tribes, and we played djembes and talking drums, all kinds of stuff. And at that point, I was becoming a trained percussionist, and I played percussion basically all through high school and carried on with the drum corps for a long time. Never got the chance to go to Africa, though, to actually do any of the, to see if I had learned the right techniques. But going back to the dark silver here, I'm going to do the shield. And this, I am really not going to care about the rivets. I just want to make sure I keep the yellow paintwork that I've done. And I want to make sure I keep a very stiff, line. I don't want any of this paint going down into that. It can be a little bit wetter, that's fine. And I do have it intentionally a little bit wetter because I'm dragging it across bumps. It's going to take more paint off my brush, and it's going to distribute it across the raised edge that we have here. But I don't want... Oh, and I did it. I did it! Okay, let's see if we can fix that real quick. Just going to throw a quick dab of this on my palette. A little bit of the previous color involved. Again, you get to see everything. The mistakes are here too. It's not just all of the successes. Now I have to kind of shade that back in with a little bit of the yellow that I had previously. I did put a bit of this other yellow color in there. Golden yellow. It's a very nice color, don't get me wrong. But now I have to kind of mix the two. Get them to the point where they're shaded together. I'm going to use a little bit of water to try and blend that. I'm going to call that good before I screw it up any further. All right, there we go. Hex Encounter Games, Battle of Adobe Walls. Huh. I haven't heard of that one. That's interesting. On the end of my table, I'm just getting ready to start a little 5-on-5, some giants versus ogres. All right. Fistful lead rules. Interesting. Well, I do hope you have a good time. Okay. I'm going to have to probably redo that shield later. Not about to now, though. We have 3 live chat lounge cats in the studio. Feel free to say hello if you wanna. Let's see, silver. Looking for my silver. There we are. This is kind of nuts to me. It's drying on the brush so fast. The middle of winter is very tough to kind of paint these things. Not gonna lie. Okay. I totally forgot the helmet. Let's see what the helmet looks like with the highlights. What's going on, Tonka Todd? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. If you're into hex, like hex crawls and stuff, I would highly recommend Hexedpress. Hexedpress is like a very cool. He's got like a lot of hex crawl games, and like he's very into that. I would highly recommend taking a look at his channel and let him know I sent you. He's a friend of mine. I would highly recommend Hexedpress. Okay. Wow, that dried so quick. Okay. That's definitely good enough. I have no clue if this is showing up on the camera. There we go. Bring it back out a little bit. I am trying to film this to oblivion and back. Okay, there we go. Gonna get the trim here on his armor. Then kind of the same. Same stripy pattern. Gonna go ahead and can't forget leg day though. Here we are. Okay, that's probably good. Well, hold on. Forgetting his arms. So the next episode that we have of the Shadow Guard, we're going to take these guys, we're going to wash them down. And once we're done with the wash step, we're going to find out what they really look like, because a lot of this will have been... it's a prep step, essentially. So we're putting all this on. It's going to get dulled really far down. It's going to get really dulled down. To give you an idea, I did up a couple of miniatures here that have the wash step completed. Let me find them if I can. I had one of them right here the other day. Let me make sure I still have them. Oh boy, let me find you. I had a Space Marine anyways that was done up in the wash step. I'll show you a... This one's pretty similar, but the wash step will really dumb down your paint job. Well, not dumb down, but dull down your paint job. This is one of the first minis we did on the show. This is a Poxwalker from Warhammer 40,000. And you can see a lot of this was done in bright green. And then we washed it off with, this was a Streaking Grime done up, and then, we did Streaking Grime, and then we did the, actual take it off step with the mineral spirits. So you just take a sponge, I use these makeup sponges a lot, and I just kind of take it off of them. This wash step will essentially do the same, and I'm using these Army Painter quick washes, and we're going to use those to essentially dull down our paint work that we're doing now, because it's going to show up really, really bright. But when we have these colors that we've already done here with the silver, the yellow, so on and so forth, they're going to show up really well in the later stages of our paint job. So we're going to do that. I have to let these guys set up overnight, though. I've got to go ahead and do up a couple other things as well. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to come down to the paint station here, and I'm going to go ahead and seal these guys to see what they look like when we put on a wash over the top of them. And we'll go from there. It's it's interesting because I think I got to do a little bit to the capes as well, but there's not going to be a ton that's going to change with this. These are the colors that I want to be the most contrasty, so I'm putting them on first and then washing them. And why would I do that? Mainly because I want to see what happens when I put the dark stuff over the light stuff and make the dark things darker. And if it doesn't look good then, well, then it's time to, reconsider what I've already done and see if it's worth doing for the other 18, 20 models that we have. But yeah, I think that's good for tonight. A little bit of highlight on the silver. We'll see what that looks like when it all churns out tomorrow. I'll be back on tomorrow night, I think a little bit earlier on. Again, I'm just going to do some preparatory stuff in the morning and get us ready for tomorrow night's stream. But with that being said, let me thank you again for joining me here as I've been streaming. But yeah, thanks for joining me. I'm Bill T here with Paint Minis Live. Charles Latorre, thanks for being a trooper and sticking it out to the end and visiting with me tonight. I very much so appreciate it. As well as Tonka Todd and D&Disability. Thank you for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. If you're seeing this in the replay and you made it through the whole hour, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. You don't see a ton of progress in an hour, but again, these are kind of proof of concept models. I tend to hem and haw back and forth on what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do it. So that's just part of the process, and that's what you get here at PML. You get the entire process from start to finish. So Thank you very much for being here. I look forward to seeing you again real soon. If you have any questions, comments, or so on and so forth, you can visit us in the Discord, or you can go ahead and drop the comment thing. Do all the YouTube stuff. You've heard 1,000 people say all the YouTube stuff already, but do the YouTube stuff. We'll see you again very soon. Thank you for joining me, and have a great rest of your weekend if I don't catch you tomorrow night. All right. Bye, everyone.